I want to start with a little history. After our first town hall, where we had been encouraging everyone to file complaints, make complaints, what became apparent is people have been complaining, and that those complaints have fallen on deaf ears, that nothing was being done about complaints. So your President Don Wilson, FOI, the history, or some of the history of the New London complaint process in the forums, the complaint forums. And one Saturday, probably 3 weeks ago, we sat down and read a stack, probably piled this high, of complaints. And I want to share with you, I read police reports every day. I read graphic, heinous police reports every day. And when I was done reading that information, I was sick to my stomach. Some of the complaints in those complaint forms were so egregious and so outrageous. The fact that there was no finding of fault, no finding or no responsibility applied to those officers who did those alleged things was so troubling to me. The Connecticut NAACP has the support of John Conyers. He's been a great friend of the NAACP, and he has said he is willing to step in and help whenever there's a need. I reached out to his office and I shared with him some of the stuff that's been going on in London, and we got an appointment to come right in and see him. So Tuesday night, Don Hokie and I, we drove down to DC. And we had a meeting with Congressman Conyers yesterday. He had an opportunity to go over some of this stuff. Now he oversees the FBI, the Justice Department, and he sees these kind of complaints all the time. But what he said is, I am so disappointed in the state of Connecticut, because the state of Connecticut is the kind of premier thinker of racial profiling. We were one of the first states to introduce racial profiling law, and it was apparent to him during our meeting that we implemented and did no follow-up or nothing thereafter. And he was very disappointed. He read those complaints, and he and his staff, we had attorneys from the federal, the U.S. Judiciary, we had support from our national office, and we had several other attorneys from the House there. They all looked at this information. They looked at the video you're about to see. They looked at the video of Lance planting drugs, and they were astonished. And again, they see this kind of stuff every day. But his response was, I want to come to Connecticut. I want to bring the Congressional Black Caucus here. I want to bring the judiciary here and hold judicial hearings on what's going on racial profiling in the state of Connecticut. He's also looking at sending an attorney to a profiling event that's going to be happening at the Capitol next week. He took this very seriously. He's promised his support. He's promised to oversee what the U.S. Attorney and Justice Department are doing about this, and he's promised that there'll be some swift action. So we're going to stay in touch with his office and continue to follow up on any of your complaints. So again, it is very important, not only that you speak here tonight, but if you have a complaint, you need to document and give it to us. And that way we can bring these complaints to the proper people to make sure that your rights are protected.
Reiterate some of the things that Tammy talked about. As we went over this data, the state collects data, collects profiling data, and so forth. And unfortunately, sometimes these things get taken into the black hole. Okay? And when that happens, then no one looks at it. When I took a look at the data that I received over a period of time, okay, that's where we can really look at things and we can see underlying what's going on, what's been going on. And we talk about our black men and our black families, and we talk about the school to the jailhouse route that a lot of our black men are on. And we want to interrupt that route, okay? And we want to get the unfairness out of it. We want to get the untrustworthy officers that are in the system out of the system, okay? So that we can move on and build the city we need to build. And in doing that, we want to invite all, and you should all write your congressman, write your representative. We want to invite them to sit down so that we can come up with some solutions that will monitor these things. We know that when you don't monitor anything, then things kind of get out of whack. It's like driving your car. If you don't take it in and get it looked at every now and again, when you get out there to go drive it the next day, maybe it won't do. And that's what we need to do. We need to be the true watchdog eyes that this organization has been for years. When we see it, we need to report. And when we see it, we need to stomp it out now. There is no room in any society for any racial imbalance, any racial disparities. Don't be afraid to stand up for our rights. We need to fight. So we want to extend an invitation to Congressman Blumenthal and Congressman Portley, so that we can sit down, because we need to target these particular areas. We need to get on the target, we need the people on the target, and we need to monitor them periodically. And usually, where there is smoke, there is fire. Now we know that there has been racial profiling and so forth in New Haven, and we know that it exists here in New London. But I'm here to tell you, it's all over, it's anywhere, it's institutional, it's sometimes really ugly in businesses and so forth. But when it happens, we need to eradicate it quickly. And it takes a strong, watchful eye to do it. So I implore you all to do that. Don't just sit back and take it anymore. We need to fix it. And the only way we can fix it is to stop it.
Before we start having individuals come before us and give us their testimony, I'd like to state that before we started to organize this meeting, we extended an invitation to Councilman Heisler and also Jane Glover to come before us and speak on behalf of their recommendations to fire Al Mayer. Both of them have both turned down the invitation to come before us to speak. I'd like to make note of that because we wanted them to get the opportunity to come before us and state to us why they recommended for him to be fired. As we hold people accountable in leadership positions from outside of our community, we also have to do that internally also. So I ask the individuals from this particular community to continue to request to get the information from those two individuals to find out why they put out that recommendation to fire Al Mayer. Once again, the NAACP is here to get to the truth, to get to the bottom of this particular issue. And sometimes it's painful, but at the end of the day, we're fighting for justice. And Frederick Douglass said, where there's no struggle, there is no progress. So we continue to struggle, we continue to move forward, we continue to push, and we continue for justice. That's what the NAACP is here for. We've been around for 103 years. We will continue to fight for justice. We're a freedom fighting organization. And we're asking our leadership and the entire leadership of New London to do the right thing. Get Al Mayer his job back. Let's get Al.
Well, welcome back. I appreciate those of you who stayed with me. I really think it was important to see that meeting with the president of the NAAC, our local president, and the people. They went to Washington. Okay? Congressman Conyers is going to be here. Okay? If they don't give this man the job back, and the continued disturbance in the police department, they are going to be here, okay, over the next few months. I'm sure of that. And I'm hopefully that the feds are investigating. I don't know where that is. I wish I did. I don't have anybody on the inside. I'm not blessed like Kathy Mitchell, who was had the ear of the chief of police and was one of the conspirators in that situation. I don't have that situation. I have to go and hunt and peck like all reporters that try to research things. Not that I'm saying I'm a reporter. Mr. Collins, I think, has done a very, very good job on his in his columns in with the Day, which is it's a difficult thing to do. It's his hometown. He gets criticized from both sides. Anything he does is not right. I mean, I disagree with him sometimes and everything. So the man gets hit from all sides. But I really believe Mr. Collins has done a good job. Ms. Edgecombe. I believe all the reporters have done pretty good on the Day with what's going on. I think what's happened is obviously the Day was supportive of Finozio, and then they saw what this clown has done, and they're trying to somehow appease the situation, maybe make us feel better. I myself got burnt. I mean, you know, one has to admit they're wrong. A megalomaniac like Mr. Finozio can't do that. Okay, you have to admit you're wrong. I was wrong by supporting him early on. Our group went out there and worked real hard for him when he didn't have initially much to go with or started out with, because he talks a great talk. Now with his new Joe Banks suits, have you noticed that with the his new role with the three-piece suits and everything else like that? The man's coming out, and I don't mean in the sexual way. I mean he's coming out. The true Finozio, Mr. Slick, appears now and then, and you can see him. He's a great Machiavellian. He's very intelligent. I would never say that he is not intelligent. But you know, I know serial killers that have great intelligence, but that doesn't mean that he's a benefit to the city of New London. In fact, he's a serious detriment to New London, and is costing us real problems in imagery, not only locally but around the country. I mean, who in their right mind would move into an unstable city like this that is going from one disaster to another? Its racial situation is peaked in a time when we're going back to George Wallace's days. I mean, I can't believe this. Okay, the man is so racist, he cannot acknowledge that he's done something wrong, and he hire the man, and it would have ended the whole problem. But he's not. He's going to find something. In the meantime, 34 years he is not hiring this young man. He hires a would-be thug, old-time police officer that threatens to break, he threatened to break the legs of his own people. I mean, this guy, the New Haven, listen to this, the New Haven detective who said Richards threatened him filed a complaint with the New Haven Human Resource Department and accused Reichard of threatening to break the detective's legs below the knees, or words to that effect, if he had worn white shoes. Again, the Register reported. I mean, come on. Reichard also threatened to arrest the reporter who wrote the story if the reporter ever contacted him again. At the time, New Haven Police Chief James Lewis said the threat to the reporter was certainly part of the factor into the decision to take away Reichard's badge and gun. But there were larger patterns of concern. Okay, the Register reported. Okay, there were more concerns. Okay, it wasn't not only this. There were greater concerns of his attitude in the department. Now, this to me, isn't a guy you hire. Now, Finozio said the police chiefs of Connecticut said this guy was a great guy and everything. Well, you know what? Those are old boy networks. I don't believe in any of those things. That's like the corrections department saying this guy's an okay. They all belong to him. They all pay dues to these places, and they belong to these associations which overlook their character. And this guy, who knows what we got with this guy. And in the meantime, we're supposed to feel secure because we got megalomaniacal Finozio running around, dismantling everything, from the fire department, the police department. Now he's gone after the canines, okay? A canine corps. In a drug area, he's going to do away with the canines. We are a major traffic area right through. We are the gateway to New England. And this clown, he is a clown. I don't know. He talks about these exaggerated credentials. And they are truly exaggerated credentials that this man talks about, that he has. I mean, he talks himself about being a 9/11 survivor. What does that mean? I mean, my cousin lost his firm, and many of his friends that had his office in the tower, okay, his traveling business, and never got over it. Never got over it. He wasn't there. He was in Boston, up in Natick, okay. But his associates were in there, and they lost friends. Okay, they lost people in there. I mean, when somebody says they were a 9/11 survivor, I believe that means that they were in the tower or next to the towers, and they were fortunate not to get hurt. I don't mean that somebody just happened to be working down there or around the area or something like that, or was an aftermath, went in there to help. You know, I know firemen and stuff like that went down there, people that went down there that helped do the cleanup. They don't consider themselves survivors, okay? They don't consider themselves 9/11 survivors. But this man is questionable. There seems to be serious exaggeration about his New York connection. I hope that, and I even sent an email to Mr. Collins, the reporter, if he could do the research that is necessary to find out all this, you know, Mr. Expert, a full-time law student and a full-time policy maker. He sounds like he's the maker. Or was he just a draft assistant? Which, there's a big difference. There's a big difference being on a committee and you're a draft assistant, one of many, being the person who heads up the policy making. I've been on many committees where I was assistant, not the draftee of everything, but I assisted in input and stuff like that. No big deal. I was on some serious blue ribbon committees in my lifetime, but I wouldn't go around and say I was the policy maker of these things. It'd be arrogant of me and outrageous. And this seems to be the problem we have here in New London. I'm really asking you folks to really think about the leadership that is destroying your city in our whole area. I further want to talk about the inappropriateness of some people, okay? The trashing of the Coast Guard. I am livid with that. And you must forgive me because I have family. I have a lot of family that's connected to the Coast Guard, two family officers that went through the academy. My youngest daughter is an officer. My cousin's kid went through the academy. I come from an interracial family. The 4 years that I was here, when I had ladies over the house and we had an apartment for them so that they could come over and rest. All of them were interracial. They were kids from various Hispanic, black, and Filipino, okay, that the